Are we going to start the podcast? Or are we
Yeah,
gonna...
we're going to do the whole intro. It's just going to be awkward for Nick for a little bit.
All right, that's fine. Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. My name's Jean.
And I am John. Welcome to episode 100. Where's my thing at? Where's my thing with the sounds on
I don't know.
it?
I think you've lost it. I might have thrown it away.
You probably did.
I might have smashed it with a
I
hammer.
had a thing with a bunch of sounds on it, and he hated it.
Oh, yeah?
But episode 100, man, this is crazy. We're here with my friend Nick,
Yep.
the Fittest doc on Instagram and other places, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much mainly Instagram.
Yeah, mainly Instagram.
This is our second time doing a podcast together.
First time in person.
So, yes, that's true. The first time we did it was like right around the beginning of everything with coronavirus going on. I'm sure how many were you doing like podcasts just like constantly during that time?
Yeah. I was doing a whole bunch. Obviously all Zoom based,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Zoom and FaceTime. But yeah, that was a busy time. And I definitely had to even turn some down just because I was busy with patients,
I can't even imagine, dude.
Yeah.
That was back in the early days of coronavirus, COVID. Before
Back when we thought it would actually end at some point.
Right. Doesn't it seem like forever? Like 2020 has been the longest.
The longest, but also the shortest.
Yeah.
Like
Because
the
I
fact that we're
think
coming
about-
back to Christmas already.
Yeah,
It
well-
feels like we missed a year.
Yeah, I think about right before Corona hit, I was in Miami for Wadapalooza, and I feel like that just happened.
Yeah.
But it definitely didn't.
Yeah.
But also, it feels like I've had a whole lifetime since then because it's been crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely insane.
For sure.
It'll end at some point, you know?
Never did I think in my life it would be normal to walk around and see everybody in a mask.
Yeah.
I know.
That's the thing that's craziest to me is like
I would look at Japan and be like,
Japan and
what
China.
are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Like,
you're
why are
like-
you guys wearing masks? China,
and
yeah.
Right.
Obviously, once everything kind of slows down, it'll be not everyone will be there with them on, but it will be very normal, I think, to see people with masks on other places.
I think
and
there'll be a lot
that's
more masks.
I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing. It is what it is. If someone like I know that a lot of people say in Japan and I think China as well. The reason most people wear masks is because they're feeling sick themselves and they don't want to spread it. And I'm like, I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's
I
nice.
mean,
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But so you drove all the way here, right?
Yeah.
So how long are you right?
Yeah. Sorry.
How long of a drive was that?
So it was supposed to be 17 hours and 50 minutes. But I was taking liberty with speeding, right? I was intelligently speeding, and charging quickly. So I made it happen in like, I think 17:20 or 17:30.
Yeah, dude. Because I was like watching your stories and I was like, this is so interesting. So because you have a Tesla. You really love like Tesla, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious.
I
like,
love electric cars, period.
electric. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair because there is.
So like
that's
the
important.
Chevy Volt, you're a big fan of.
That thing got some power, baby.
and the bolts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's super interesting what's happening in the realm of electric vehicles. And to be honest, I have opinions about Chevy and GM and Ford. But essentially,
Well, I want to hear him, man. That's why I want to talk about it.
Ford's Mustang, it looks nothing like a Mustang, but they've decided to
that
name it
one's-
a Mustang.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
electric Mustang or
it's like
whatever.
an SUV almost.
okay,
crossover.
So think about what you just said, though. First of all, I don't think it's a mandate that it needs to look like a Mustang to be
Okay.
called a Mustang.
All right.
I think it needs to have comparable or better performance.
Okay.
And if you look at the Mustang Mach-E, 0 to 60 top speed, like that thing beats most Mustangs on the street today, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
so like super modded.
It is, but it is pretty interesting. Like you had the muscle body Mustang when it originally started, right? Late '60s,
Old
'70s.
Mustangs look so good. Dude.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then you got during the oil crisis back in the '70s or whatever, and Mustang kind of switched to the Fox body model, which is
Yeah.
very like square, and everyone's like, that's not a Mustang, but it was still like that's kind of the same thing. It doesn't look like a Mustang.
Yeah.
And then they recently switched back to the
Well, I think the model. I think it was like the early 2000s. That model Mustang. I'm not a fan of that one.
yeah, and then the big one when they switched back to that grill that like
Yeah.
is like caved in.
I mean, I personally think the 2015 Mustang is the best one.
I'm sure. Yeah,
What year was Eleanor?
I don't know. Is that a type of Mustang?
I'm pretty sure it's a Mustang. I'm trying to remember what movie it's from. It's from a big movie. And then I'm pretty sure John Wick drove a Mustang in
John Wick those are the best movies. I don't care.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
1, 2, and 3, all of them.
Yeah, hands down, John Wick movies are the best movies.
1971.
That's Eleanor?
Eleanor is a custom 1971 Ford Mustang.
Dude, that thing. What movie is that from?
Oh man,
I think it's Gone in 60 Seconds. Pretty sure it's Gone in 60 Seconds. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. No, John Wick, man.
Yeah, you're right.
It's funny. I told people like, I don't know. I just feel like I have very weird thoughts when it comes to like the skills you should have as a man. And like in my opinion, John Wick is the perfect man. That man is like he can fight, he can drive.
Yeah,
he's intelligent.
He cares about his dog.
He cares exactly.
Compassionate, right? Cares about his dog.
Right.
But then you even have like I was listening to someone talk like he's basically a superhero. Like it's not like the fact that you give him like a suit jacket that is armor impenetrable or whatever, gun impenetrable, bulletproof. It's like okay,
right.
But I'm not watching it for some like realistic action. I'm watching
if you're
it
watching
because,
John Wick for realistic action, like,
or if you're watching
wrong
John
movie.
Wick for like storyline,
Yeah,
like,
you're there. The third one was literally a fight scene from beginning to end.
Oh,
It's
so
basically
the man
what
was
it
just
amazing.
surviving, just survival.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
Yeah, no, it's funny. So I'm trained in Taekwondo, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, and Krav Maga. Black belt in only one of them in Taekwondo. And I remember watching John Wick and thinking to myself, wow, I have a major hole in my game, right? And that is that I don't know how to use a weapon. I don't know how to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
I'm not proficient in kind of armed defense. So watching that movie, especially, and I'm sure you guys have seen the behind the scenes of Keanu Reeves training for that
it's
movie,
crazy,
right?
yeah.
Like,
No, I haven't, and I feel like I've missed out now.
oh, dude, he's
Get
literally
out, get out right now.
Yeah, he's literally out at the range.
Yeah.
He's got like some badass behind him who's like training him, and Keanu Reeves legit had a lot of the skills necessary for that movie. So yeah, I remember just watching. I was like, okay, I need to up my game. I need to train more martial arts. I need to be more diligent and useful when it comes to armed defense. And yeah, I don't know. I just like Keanu Reeves that's a man's man. I'm sorry, not Keanu, but John Wick is a man's man.
See, this is where we're different. For me, I watched that and I was like, yeah, I'd die. And I just accepted it. I was like, I would die. It's okay. If that was how life has to be,
sure.
I'd rather die. I don't want to fight for my life at all times. It's okay.
Yeah, you say that, but I highly doubt that's the case.
Yeah, I know.
You'd fight for it.
I'd try to be like, get away from me.
Right.
Stop.
Right.
Yeah.
You would fight hard for your dog. Somebody killed, dude. If somebody killed, like my dog passed in 2015. We had him for 16 years since 1999. But dude, when he was alive, somebody touched my dog, I would be. No, you just don't do that. I would be livid.
So this is a super random tangent, but yesterday I was at a dog beach here in San Diego. Tons of dogs run around. This is super random, but you just made me think of it.
Yeah.
There was this person with this little dog. They didn't have it on a leash, which they don't have to be on leashes, but it was literally running up to every dog, barking and like jumping at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dog
is going to die.
It was just like, I was frustrated because it was like, obviously the owners don't care.
Sure.
They don't care about anyone else's time.
Just negligent.
And they think like, oh, my dog's so cute, it's fine. And like the dog was kind of cute, but it was like, you don't know, like it was just crazy. It was like, you don't know how every dog is going to react.
Sure.
I'm like, luckily nothing happened to the dog, but sorry, it was just, I had to get that off my chest.
That's just being a responsible dog owner. You can't just let, especially, dude, some people are paranoid around, like I've never had a bad experience where a dog bit me, but you have to respect the fact as a dog owner that your experience in life of never having been bit does not necessarily reflect the entire population, right? Some people, like, you have to put your dog on a leash. You can't just let your dog run up to anybody who may have, experienced some type of trauma in the past. So yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So
Keanu Reeves is the nicest guy in the world, though. Can we?
Yeah.
Just,
Oh yeah,
can we-
yeah, yeah.
Like so, you
all
got
the
you got
stories.
John Wick,
yeah.
and then you got Keanu
Reeves, right?
And he's just like
they're like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, John Wick he seemed like a nice dude, but it was just all about like justice. That he
Yes.
was like, and
For
he's
sure.
also a cold-blooded murderer. But it's fine. It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
good,
Well, he left the assassins, and then
Yeah.
someone came and killed his wife, and
Yeah.
that's when he decided to give it up.
Yeah. You know,
whatever.
all the stuff that happens on
all the
daily
standards,
basis.
all the stuff that happens in a superhero style movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for the next Matrix.
Batman.
I've legit,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
always been
Oh,
a fan
my
of
gosh.
Keanu since all the Matrixes. You know, growing up, watch all of them, and like, you know, I had a group of friends in high school who were like, we were all like super nerdy about the Matrix, and so yeah, Keanu, he's done well for himself. And one thing I like about that guy, like, if you legit look at him over the years, that man does not age.
No,
Dude,
he just gets better.
insane.
Yeah,
He
it's
gets
awesome.
better with age.
Yeah. It's
I've
awesome.
seen the memes of like, they're like, yeah, he doesn't age and it's all him. And then they go back to like 1800s and there's this guy that like looks just like him. And he's a vampire.
Yeah.
He's a vampire.
Yeah.
So, okay, more about the Tesla stuff.
Yeah, let's go back
or
to
the
that original.
electric cars. Because it's interesting to me because I obviously see it's a huge passion of yours.
Sure.
And I want to talk about like your passions. So we could talk about me later because I know I am also a big passion of yours, you know.
Absolutely.
But were you always like a car guy? So you were. Okay.
Yeah, you hit that right on the head. I wasn't always an electric car guy. I was always like muscle cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I loved, you know, Mustangs, Camaros, Corvettes. Yeah, you know, I think that the thing that changes most people's minds about an electric car is just getting behind one and just feel like I've taken that thing out to the racetrack.
I've seen your stories.
I smoke everything. I destroy it.
Have you ever been beat?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was beat. I remember the first day that I went, the first car that I raced was a 2019 Dodge Viper. Smoked that, like destroyed it and had it on video. I was laughing. But the car that eventually beat mine was a heavily modified Camaro that ran the quarter mile in 11 points. Yeah, I remember. He ran it at 11.3 and I ran it in 11.5. So
Wow,
not far behind
not
him.
by much. Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, always been into muscle cars and you know, I never owned one. But
Oh, really?
No,
Okay.
no, never owned one. You know, my vehicle before this was a Saturn V. It was an SUV. But yeah, I think, you know, the passion kind of that I have with electric vehicles is kind of twofold. Number one, I don't think that what we're doing to the planet is sustainable, right? I think, you know, listen, kind of using oil and burning oil to power our vehicles, that's not sustainable. I'm kind of, so my undergrad's mechanical engineering, right? And obviously, whatever, I didn't do anything with that. I went to med school instead. But kind of as an engineer, I don't think that that's something that is sustainable over the long term, especially when you consider that we only have a certain amount of oil on the planet. It's causing a certain amount of damage. Whether or not you want to argue that you can prove it or not, that's besides the point. Mm-hmm. The point is that we have a quantifiable limit to the oil on the planet. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if we have a quantifiable limit and you know, this isn't everlasting, why are we using this? This is something that if we don't figure out an alternative power source now, at some point in the future, maybe it won't affect our generation, mm-hmm. maybe it affects our kids or our grandkids, but isn't that enough reason to figure it out now, to figure it out ahead of time before we burn through it all? So with that said, you know, it became a passion of mine in that respect. And in another respect that you know I'm passionate about it is like Elon Musk, man, he's that dude
Just as a person, yeah.
Oh, as a person, like you know, the fact that if I were to ask you to think about any other CEO of any other car company who is an engineer who is intimately involved in the creation of products and the development of products. Can you name one?
No.
Exactly. Like you can't, because this man, I mean, he kind of has caused a paradigm shift. And if you look at a lot of the patents that come
outside
out of
of
Tesla,
maybe Henry Ford.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. You want, if you want to go back to dead people. So yeah, you know what?
Good job, John.
Thank you.
Very helpful to the conversation.
Nailed it. Yeah. So I think that, you know, I as an engineer or as someone who has that mindset, because I still very much, it's crazy. Like I talk to other doctors and like I'm literally like a hybrid, right? Where my mindset and the way I think about things is very much still very engineering focused. and you know, I like Elon for that reason, that he's very, I mean, you just watch interviews with that man and you realize, like, I'm not saying I'm dumb, but that man is an order of magnitude smarter than I am.
Yeah.
I would argue an order of magnitude smarter than most people. So I think it's pretty hilarious when he says something and you have people who are very vocally doubting him left and right. And I'm like, does your ego truly prevent you from seeing that this guy, not only does he have the best interests of the planet at heart, because he's already rich. He was rich after selling PayPal.
Yeah.
He had all the money in the world to just like live a lavish life for the rest of his existence. But instead of doing that, he was like, nah, I'm going to, you know, try to figure out sustainable energy and push the world towards sustainable transport and, you know, sustainability otherwise. So, yeah, he's someone who I very much respect and you know, look up to, and yeah, the things he's doing in the realm, not just with Tesla, right, but with SpaceX, with a Boring Company, with Neuralink. I mean, he's the CEO of so many companies that are moving the game forward. So
yeah. I definitely I enjoy his charisma. Like, I definitely enjoy his charisma, and I enjoy the fact that he doesn't play the CEO game of like, I need to talk a certain way, I need to act a certain way, he'll go on Joe Rogan and smoke a blunt, and then all of a sudden all of his like board of directors or whatever, like, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
Like,
or 2 days ago when he was like, oh, I'm going to change a Model S price to $69,420.
yeah.
It's like, really, dude?
But and
That's like an internet. It's like a meme lord became a CEO. Is what
I know.
That's
Seriously.
what happened.
It's pretty awesome.
And like I definitely like, I'm not. There are some people who are anti-electric vehicle, which is super interesting. Like, to just be anti it. Like, I can understand being like, that's not for me, but to like be vocally anti-electric vehicle.
I guarantee you those people haven't driven one. Like, that's the thing. Most of these people who are very, even when I go to the drag strip, people are very like, oh, that thing, I'm going to smoke that thing. They seem very confident. And I'm like, you don't know what this thing is capable of, do you?
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to keep in mind, right? This is a paradigm shift. I've told people all the time. So like, I've always been nerdy, right? Even in high school. And with that said, way back in high school, I was kind of aware of the whole shift from BlackBerry to iPhone, right? And I remember, so iPhone came out in 2007. Dude, I was telling people in 2006 because I was one of these people like on the forums, looking, you know, where everybody was aware that an iPhone was coming. So I was one of these people who even before Steve Jobs went on stage and announced the iPhone, I was like telling friends and family, like, don't buy another, like, the iPhone's coming, and then just look at it, right? 2007, Jobs announces the iPhone. Every other phone now that you can get. Okay, sure, you can get different looking phones, but they all look like an iPhone, right?
Yeah, they all look like that original iPhone.
That was a paradigm shift, right? Phones went away from looking like Blackberries, away from looking like Motorola Razors, flip phones and stuff, to now every phone looks like an iPhone, right? And I think that a lot of people don't necessarily realize that's exactly what's happening right now with vehicles. I guarantee you 5 years from now, the resale value, anyone who buys a car with an engine, the resale value would have considerably dropped off. You're not going to be able to sell it for that much. I mean, 2000, let's even ignore Tesla. You've got pretty much every major OEM, every car maker has already announced an electric vehicle that will either be out 2020 or 2021. I mean, every maker is going full steam ahead on this. So it just kind of makes sense, man. The fact that, you know, you can wake up in the morning and have a full battery. It's like having a gas station in your garage.
Yeah.
How do you beat that? You know?
So the biggest, you know a lot about this, so I feel comfortable asking you. I know very little about it. So
That's with most things.
Yes.
So I don't know what he's going to bring up.
So this
here.
is not me bringing up a counterpoint or anything. This is just what I've heard.
Sure.
I've heard that the battery is worse for our environment. Like, getting rid of that battery in an electric vehicle.
Facts.
Okay.
There's a caveat there, though. The caveat is that the battery is initially worse for the environment. From a CO2 production standpoint, it's initially worse for the environment. However, if I remember right, from the data I've seen, within 2 years, you have actually polluted the environment more with a gas car than that initial, because it's essentially front end versus back end, right? Gas car is back end. You're making CO2 for forever.
20 years,
for however long it's running, right?
200,000 miles,
For an electric car, at least initially, you're making CO2 as a byproduct initially, and that's actually, as a function of time, that's becoming less and less, right? I mean, I know Tesla's pushing forward in the, you know, with their objective of kind of having its production of their vehicles have less of a devastating effect on the environment, and that's obviously one of their goals. And I would hope that that's the same goal for an OEM. So yeah, you're completely right initially, but on the back end, I completely disagree. And okay, so that's actually, I just thought of something. So that's production, right? Now let's also talk about use, right? The electric vehicle, depending on the state that you live in, more power production may potentially come from renewable sources as opposed to coal, while in other states it may be the other way around, right? So just driving here to Cali, I saw this giant solar, I saw like 2 or 3 solar farms. And I mean, so you guys obviously are doing it well here. I don't know about Colorado. I'm just ignorant. Not to say that they don't. I just need to look into it. But, as a function of time, electric vehicles are the only vehicles that have the potential for becoming less and less dependent on coal for their power production and more dependent on renewable energy, right? As a function, I may live in Colorado for, 5 years, and 5 years from now, maybe 100% renewable energy. You can't say that for a gas car.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's wild. I mean, it's cool. Like, we're entering an age where literally, like, the thing that shines down and makes this entire planet work, like, we can now use for energy.
Absolutely.
And
there are even other sources, right? So geothermal, right? Hydroelectric, right? I think geothermal is pretty awesome. I mean, think about it. We, in the middle of the planet, right? We have a temperature differential between the middle of the planet and the surface that you can actually use to derive energy, right? Wind, you can use it to derive energy. Water, I mean, if you kind of stand back and think about this from a physics standpoint, we have so many sources of power generation just in the environment that kind of, God has given us, and we just have to figure out how to turn it into power.
That's wild.
So
that is crazy.
As someone that doesn't know much about this stuff, to me, like, when I hear you talk about that, it's just like, why would we not? Like, that's like, you know what I mean? I know that there's other interests at play as to, there's people, like the oil is a
industry.
Lot of, they have a lot of money. There's literally countries that if it goes away, like, they are no longer, you know what I mean? So of course there's vested interest in it.
Absolutely.
But it's like, if you take a step back and just listen, it's like, okay, why would we use something that, like you said, is finite and is going to go away at some point?
Right.
The sun, I guess technically is finite, but it's
sure.
But like, we can use that. Why would we not?
Yeah.
Or like all these other things that we're talking about. I don't know. I'm super ignorant about this stuff. I have never really looked in too much into it.
Yeah.
I think, like, if eventually I would love to get an electric vehicle. I mean, I'm not in the market. I'm happy with my car that I have.
Yeah.
But like, eventually I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's my thought, is just like, well, why would you not do it?
Not only that, but it's so much cheaper maintenance wise. I mean, literally, I've had the car for over a year now. I've done nothing but put in windshield washer fluid. Nothing. Nothing.
That's crazy.
The one downside that I've heard of electric cars is because of all the batteries, they're heavy. So like, my car is as heavy as like a Chevy Suburban, right? It's like 4,300. Yeah, like 4,300 pounds. So the tires, you can go through tires quickly if you're one of these people who are like, oh, I have all of this power underneath me. I have to floor it off of every red light and every stop sign, right? Which that was me, like, for the first week or two. And then, like, I got it out of my system. I was like, okay, I can drive like a grandma now. But if you floor it every single time off of a dead stop, you're going to burn through tires quickly. And then that can cost a lot of money.
I am right now. I've got a 2001 Dodge Dakota.
Nice.
I love it.
Nice.
Love it so much.
Yeah.
He's wanted a truck for a very long time.
Yeah.
Nice.
I 100% see myself getting a Cybertruck.
Dude,
not a Rivian.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, that's the other. So there are a couple. Actually, so Ford's about to announce a Ford F-150 electric. Hummer. GMC just announced an electric Hummer yesterday.
F-150s are already kind of expensive.
Yeah.
I don't even want to imagine what an electric F-150 is.
But are they going to make the Hummer look like a Cybertruck? Because that would look even more like Warthog from Halo.
Oh yeah. No, it legit looks like I saw it. It looks like a Hummer.
Man,
Dude, that Cybertruck though, like the price point is
it's
so good. Like
absolutely.
that's what like blows my mind.
And
Absolutely.
it looks like your Master Chief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put a turret on
Yeah.
top.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure.
Why
I'm sure
would you
the
not,
local
like,
police
oh,
force will be happy
right.
with that.
They would
You're
love
driving
it.
around with a turret.
They'd take pictures with you.
Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. So
Do you see yourself getting a truck, like a Cybertruck or something?
This guy likes going fast.
I wish you would have said. So no.
I want to go fast.
I'm sure they're fast too.
The
But I just
Cybertruck does 0 to 60 0.1 seconds faster than my car.
Jeez,
Does 0 to
dude, could you
60
imagine
does
that
0 to
thing?
60 in 2.9 seconds.
Those
dude.
tires on it too. Man,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just.
And it looks like a.
I like the look.
Oh, dude,
I-
it looks like a tank.
I
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
will laugh every time he's
It's-
like, the windows are shatterproof. Well,
Yeah.
And they did it again.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I would ever get a truck just because, especially a truck that big. So that thing, I don't know if you looked into it, but it goes from, you can just do something on the touchscreen and it'll go from 8 inches ground clearance to 16 inches. It's an air suspension,
cool,
right? So personally, whenever I see a guy in a huge truck, in my mind,
Yeah.
as
I
somebody
get you. I feel you.
who drives a sedan and I'm a nice fast sedan and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
When I see someone in a huge truck, I'm like, bro, you're compensating for
Compensating.
something, right?
For sure.
And it's
I mean,
clear.
John is.
No, I've got Dakota is a tiny truck, but I love it. It's a tiny truck with a V8 engine and it goes fast. But
So yeah, functionality wise, I mean, it sounds like you actually use it, right?
Yeah.
I personally don't have a need for that. Do I need a 8-foot bed where I can slide stuff? No, I'm not like
Yes, I
not
do.
doing a whole bunch of things with my hands. So,
Yeah.
but hey, if you have that need,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, would I? If you guys watch Walking Dead,
I
No?
did.
okay.
I did, and then
then
I
it
probably
got-
stopped when everyone else stopped.
I
When
still
it got
watch
weird.
it.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people
it's,
who
it's
like.
still on.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
There was
I
an
didn't know that.
episode two Sundays ago. I'm one of these, like, everyone who I've talked to who used to watch the show doesn't watch it anymore. And so I'm one of these like weirdos who still watches it. Anyway, I bring up the show. If we were in that situation or end of days, bro, I want a Cybertruck. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
what you do
tank?
is you'd go and you'd steal someone else's Cybertruck
Yeah,
who
100%,
already
yeah.
turned.
No. Good luck stealing it. Like, have you looked at the date? You literally can't steal a Tesla. Like, it's actually amazing. Just look it up if you think I'm lying. Like, 97% of Teslas worldwide or something like that have been ever stolen have been recovered because, if you
so much tracking and stuff,
somehow
right?
take my car, I can slow you down on the highway. Like, you're driving at 70, I can make it like 5 miles an hour. That's a max you can go, right? I can lock you in. I know exactly where you are, GPS anywhere in the world. Like, you can't, anytime a Tesla has ever been stolen, usually the Model X or S, it's been recovered by the cops because you can't, like, the owner's going to know where it is.
Well, I feel like it'd be hard to steal in the first place too, right? Like compared
Yes.
to other cars, it's probably harder to steal in general.
My phone is my key. So basically, if you somehow get in my car, let's say you smash your window, right? It won't turn on for you.
Yeah.
Like, my phone is my key. If you don't have my phone, you're not going anywhere with it. So yeah, it's super. Yeah. It's not. I wish I could steal a Cybertruck, but that's not going to happen. If I saw it, I'd just be like, cool, can't
Well,
use
maybe
it.
they already turned into a zombie, and then you're good to go.
And they just have their phone on them, and
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
have to kill them and take their
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their phone on them all the time,
Right.
anyways. So
Right,
why
right.
wouldn't zombie people
Yeah,
have their phone?
I mean, yeah, you could be.
it might be dead, but you just plug it in.
You could make the argument that it is a phone that is turning us into zombies.
Yeah,
but that
it's
is a
touche.
I don't want to talk. I
different-
don't want to talk about that. Okay? I like how much I'm on my phone, and I don't need anyone to shame me for it.
Yeah. It's funny though. Elon has talked about that. He said that technically we are already all cyborgs because I mean we're all attached to our phones, kind of this appendix, right? And have you guys heard a lot about the Neuralink, the thing that he wants to like put in your brain?
I've heard a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about
Would
it, but
you-
I can already guarantee you that the circles that I'm around are going to freak out about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you? Okay, so you wouldn't do that. Would you do that?
Heck yeah. Dude.
I'm not against it. I just know, like, I work at a church,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And so church people.
You ain't putting no computer in my mind.
Yeah, church people. I love you all. I want to let you know. Preface with that.
Right.
Them Democrats.
They are absolutely convinced that as soon as a chip goes inside of a human, it's revelation. Like it's the end of the world. The beast is gonna rise, take over. Like that is beyond a doubt. This means this, and so I can already guarantee you. I personally, I don't read Revelation that way, but people do, and so.
But somehow they draw the line at having a cell phone attached to your hip.
I know
at
all
all
the time.
times.
I know. Just you don't gotta.
I mean, literally,
Don't
dude.
think
Have you?
about it too much.
I'm so,
don't think about it too much. Is that even?
They don't do it either, so
Right,
don't waste your
right.
time.
Right.
No, but that thing's. I would love to hear a little bit more because I've heard my friends talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, so what is the basis of the Neuralink?
So the way Elon talked about it is basically a chip that you implant in your brain that dramatically speeds up the brain to computer interface. So like I said, right, Elon already argues that we are all cyborgs because of our phone. However, he says that even though technically we're that the interface between man and machine is so slow. 2 thumbs banging away, like how quickly can you truly exchange information with a phone, right? Where a Neuralink would be much faster.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be sick. Man.
So that's like you can like look at. I'm totally ignorant of it. So you can like look at your phone and then be like thinking about tables at Home Depot, for example, and you'd have your results up. Is that kind of what it's like?
No,
I don't think you even need a phone.
No,
right?
exactly.
Oh my
you don't even
gosh.
need a phone.
Yeah.
You basically would just request information, and it would just, essentially, presumably, the chip could somehow maybe connect through Bluetooth or internet with your phone. So basically, anytime you ask yourself for information, information would come from the phone to the Neuralink, and then would automatically be in your head. And
They better not have ads. I'd be so mad. If you're like thinking all of a sudden, it's like, we'll return in 15 seconds after
Right.
this word from Home and Garden.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
People have already kind of brought up, and
I
I
don't
agree.
want that. Would be terrible. Like ads.
You just
absolutely.
have to
Absolutely.
pay a monthly fee, man.
Yeah.
I know.
That's what it is.
To
Yeah.
live, to have
Yeah.
a clear mind.
Yeah.
People have already brought up, and I kind of agree that it would kind of be like the Matrix, where if he's successful with doing this, we would never have to go to school again.
Yeah, it's
like
true, yeah.
you could just download any information you need. I mean, it would truly be revolutionary.
But then would you like the people who would have the most value would return to people who have like hand-on skills, right? Like you can't imagine how to make a table,
Yes, you can.
but someone who can handcraft a table, like that becomes a lot more of a
You're wrong. So the way he's argued this, even the skills that you're bringing up right now, right? How to handcraft a table, that's literally connections, neuronal connections between your brain and your muscles that you've developed and strengthened over a period of time, right? So I think that you're thinking that, this isn't something you can teach. Like, no, you can absolutely. That's something. Why can't that be something you can easily download as a
Interesting.
skill?
So like in the
So-
Matrix when he says like I know Taekwondo or whatever, I know
yeah.
Taekwondo or whatever it is
Exactly.
after they download it.
Right.
Oh, okay, that'd
I
be
mean,
crazy.
even
This
dude,
is all going back to Keanu. This is the theme of the
Yeah,
show.
I know.
Right. So this is like, think about it, right? So I'm sure you guys have had this struggle, right? I was one of these people. So I never did gymnastics when I was younger. So I struggled with the ring muscle up in CrossFit for legit. So I've been CrossFitting since 2010. I struggled with the ring muscle up for like 6 years. 6 years. I remember
Body awareness, man. Oh.
Yeah, I remember guys in my old gym like clowning me, like, "Dude, Nick, come on, are you serious? You don't know how to do a ring muscle up yet?" Anyway, so I struggled with it for 6 years. And people were like, dude, you're strong enough. Why can't you do that? So it isn't necessarily something like the ring muscle up. It isn't necessarily strength. It is your brain coordinating movement between many muscles simultaneously, right?
Totally.
So with something like the Neuralink, like you would just basically have to be able to get the Neuralink to help you coordinate so many different muscles simultaneously. Like that would be absolutely revolutionary. It's funny because Elon's initial, at least from, if I remember right, from a couple of years back, his initial impetus with the Neuralink was that he argues, and I completely agree, that artificial intelligence, we're already down that road. It is an inevitable end at this point, right? It's going to happen, right? It's in your iPhone. Like people don't realize, like Siri, the way Siri works, sometimes you can like swipe down and like you're going to search for an app, and like the app is right there waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like because the phone using machine learning and neural nets, it's kind of learning you, right?
Yeah.
When it knows I'm gonna go to Chipotle, I'm like, you don't know me, phone.
Anytime my phone connects to my car, it's like 15 minutes to Chipotle.
Right.
That's true, but
That's true, and I guess I'll go.
yeah.
Or even something like, you know, the Tesla. Pretty much all Teslas these days they're literally thinking. I've come up to kind of splits in the road, and I will feel, because my hand, you have to keep your hand on the steering wheel, and you will feel the car going, like deciding between left and right. It'll do like a little left and right, and it's like seeing the environment and figuring out kind of where it wants to go, right? So we're already kind of progressing down that road of artificial intelligence, and Elon argues that, hey, listen, like this is inevitable. We might as well figure out a way to become one with the machine instead of fighting it, right? Instead of thinking that we are ever going to be, because people who are egotistical, there are some very smart people who argue, oh, machines will never be as smart as us, and I completely disagree with them. I mean, are you kidding me? If you have an artificial intelligence that has access to the entire library of human knowledge, aka the internet, how are you going to be? I'm sorry, like you're human. You can't win against that, right? Maybe in our creativity, we can win against that, in our imagination, but for how long, right? So, I mean, there's already, I totally am blanking on the name, but there's an artificial intelligence out right now that can write essays on any subject so good that you could literally read it. As long as somebody didn't tell you that it was written by a computer, you could read it and be like, this was written by a human being. But it's all an AI. So
I immediately go to think about, like, did you watch iRobot with Will Smith?
I watch all the nerdy sci-fi movies.
I just think of Black Mirror as well.
I haven't seen that.
And I know it's a negative connotation, but I'm just like, I mean, it sounds cool, but
yeah.
So like, you know, iRobot, Will Smith, he hates robots because it made the decision to save someone else versus save his family.
Yeah.
And that was like a completely like data-driven decision with no emotion attached to it, whatever, which is what caused him to lose his family. And so it's like, I imagine stuff like that, like how, I don't know, I'm sure that people are figuring it out, but like those emotional and those like moral issues are the ones that I'm kind of interested, like morality and the weight of decisions and stuff like that. It's going to be hard
super important,
it's going to be hard to digitalize that or you know.
The one I've heard all the time is like, oh, if you're in a self-driving car and it sees like two kids walking across the street, and it also sees a car behind you that it knows will rear end you if you stop, like what's the car going to do, right? And like that's one of those things that you get to sit back and wonder, but then you have to also think, what would you do in that? Because think about it. All of us have neural nets ourselves.
Yeah.
They are our brains, right? So what are you going to do in that situation,
and
right?
everyone would act differently, I think.
Absolutely.
I'd run over the kids because they shouldn't have been in the way.
Move!
Move out of the way. Sorry, you should have paid attention. You didn't see that car coming? Come on now.
Right. I'm not going to
Survival of the fittest.
Not going to get rear-ended.
This is a 2015 Mustang,
baby. All right. Come on. It's not my fault.
Yeah, that is hard. Because like if the robot or if the car's main mission is self-preservation or to preserve you.
Yes, the people in the vehicle. Right?
Yeah, then it stands to reason that it would. But I don't know. Could it get smart enough to know that if you run these kids over, that'll put you in jail, which isn't really going to preserve
It wasn't me. It was the car. I don't know what to tell you.
That's weird. Those are some
They're
questions.
going to have car jails. That's what's going to happen.
I know the bad Tesla.
Or is it going to make some move that like we couldn't? And that's the
what
thing,
I was
right?
imagining.
Like,
is just,
oh, dude.
or if it would just like jetpacks.
Then the other car runs the kids over.
Dude.
Not your problem.
Sorry, kids.
Like jetpack, it starts flying, hovering.
Even like games, right? Like, so I'm a big chess player, and like sometimes, even in chess, or there's this other game, I think it's called Go, that essentially artificial intelligences have made moves against human beings that like human beings have never seen before, right? Like, I mean, we are limited by we like to think that, oh, we're human, so we can figure out all the different possible solutions, but they're like AIs can sometimes think about solutions that we haven't even thought about, you know?
I read a book and kind of about defeating the AI chess computer. You know what I mean?
Why,
Like,
why did you read that book?
I was just getting into books for a little bit, but like
out of all books he could read, he's like,
it was a section.
That
it was
one.
a section of a book.
Oh, okay.
It was like
I
a
was
portion
like,
of a book.
What the heck? I was like, he doesn't play chess or anything.
So, but it was interesting because it was like, so once the computer started playing chess, the computer started dominating everyone in chess.
absolutely.
And so then they needed to create like cohorts of people who were trying to play against this computer,
Yeah.
and they're still losing.
Yeah.
And then they found out that if they played chess haphazardly, with no reason, they just started making moves, that caused more strain on the computer.
Really?
And that they actually eventually they beat the computer in a game of chess
That's literally my life philosophy.
by playing haphazardly, by like making stupid decisions on purpose. And it was like the computer was just like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you playing a good game of chess?
Yeah, but I don't
And
know
they
how
actually
you could
beat-
win that way. As a chess player, I don't know if you're just moving pieces. Like,
I don't know.
you're never going to win.
I don't remember
Move
the name
the
of the
king
book
first.
I mean,
in the
obviously,
middle of the.
Right.
obviously there's a
Expose the
level.
king.
Like, if they're all chess masters or whatever, you know what I
Right,
mean? So
right.
like, obviously, like they're probably not going like, let's expose the king right away.
right,
But
right.
like, yeah, like it was through some weird like, and it was talking about the importance of creativity. I think it was like a creativity book
For sure.
And so that was where like
That makes sense.
by going by the rules they lost every time, but it was
Gotcha.
through like being more creative, using moves that probably wouldn't make the most sense, stuff like that. They were able to beat the computer. I wish I remember the book. I don't remember it. It was an audio book, so I don't have the. If I could see the cover, it'd be different. But since it's an audio
I'm such a
book,
nerd. You just said that, and I think, please tell me you guys are Halo players or were.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
Oh, come
that
on.
117, that's how he always like defeated the enemy, right? He was like, I'm not going to go by the rules. I'm just going to do something that you don't expect. Like, that's Master Chief for you. So,
I can't wait for the new one to come out.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's even though people were moaning about the graphics and complaining that
I don't
they
know.
weren't
Graphics
so-
to me
someone-
are important, but they're not the most important. Like some of the games I play on my computer are like I play this game called Among Us, and it literally is a flash game basically. It's
know what
like
that is, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
really care that much.
Yeah. No, but dude, all of the Halos. It's funny, when I was younger, I actually read that. You guys know they make Halo books. Yeah, so I read the books and like knew all about the Covenant. Knew all about the Covenant and the war and the USMC and man. super
I
nerdy about that.
was whenever we'd play, I was afraid whenever the flood came. I was like scared. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah, that was
I don't
scary,
wanna
dude. That was
play.
terrifying.
Yeah, I don't want to play.
Yeah.
I remember there was a meme I saw recently where it was like everyone remembers the moment when they're on the Halo, right? And then they like look up and you
Uh-huh.
see
The ring?
the ring,
Sure,
yeah, the
sure,
ring, yeah,
sure.
and you just see and you're just like. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Like everyone
Yeah.
remembers the first
I know,
time when
man.
you're
Yeah.
playing and you like look
Yeah.
up and just see it.
Yeah.
And like that was like revolutionary,
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
For especially
Absolutely.
like when you were used to playing like I remember playing like WWF games on back when it was WWF on N64 with the cartridges and the people just kind of look like little bricks, you know, and then like switching to PlayStation and PlayStation had like your intro song or whatever was like you saw real people, like you saw the real video, and it was just like they can do that on games,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And now it's like some of the stuff that's coming out
ridiculous,
for the next
yeah.
Xbox and the PS5 is
Yeah.
just like, holy moly, man!
Yeah. I love the evolution of graphics. Have you guys heard of the uncanny valley?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the problem with like these graphics are getting really good, but like even I saw a PS5 basketball
For
demo.
people who haven't heard it, just in case,
Sure.
like
Uncanny
my,
Valley.
like my brother.
Shut up.
the-
I know about it.
Yeah.
All right.
So if I remember, I may screw this up, but it's basically the fact that we human beings, I mean, through however many millennia, we are very good at picking up other human cues, body language, micro expressions, etc. And when we watch these video games with incredible graphics, like let's say the NBA
that's
PlayStation 5 demo I saw the other day, right? In my mind, I was watching, I was like, that's cool. You can see the beads of sweat on their forehead and the wrinkles and whatnot. But the physics, I was just looking at the way their bodies moved. I was like, this is there's something off with this, you know?
It's kind of like when Sonic, the trailer for Sonic came out,
sure,
and they
sure.
like fixed his eyes and his lips, and it was too close to being human-like,
people
but
were
it
like,
wasn't
nah.
quite there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then they completely redid Sonic.
I think
Yeah.
the best example is when
Oh, we're still good. Our thing died. but
I
we're
think
still good.
Oh, really?
sorry, one of our
Oh, it's
things
fine,
died,
it's fine,
so
it's fine.
it's all good.
It's still recording.
I think one of the best examples is when they had to redo the lip of Superman because he had
the mustache.
Yeah, so he had to go. He had to go, and he did like another movie, Henry Cavill, and then he had to grow a mustache, and then he went to film the Superman movie, and they were like, "No, you can't shave your mustache off." So they had to like re-put it, and it just looked off.
Dude, it looks so bad. Even though it was in was that Justice League?
Yeah.
Even though he was only video for like 2 seconds.
It was just the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's all. Like that's the only part that they had to redo.
Yeah.
Was when
I can't wait for the there's a Zack Snyder cut coming out soon.
I know.
Yeah, I want to see that. Yeah. But to be honest, even if that comes out, dude, I feel so bad for the DC universe. They're like Avenger. Like, come on, you will never beat any of the Avengers movies.
I think doing
Marvel does it better.
Trying to do Avengers type movies, I think they'll never beat it.
Yeah.
But if they keep doing like the what was that movie, Joker?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that like gritty dark type movie.
Yeah.
I think DC really does well with that.
With
like
those.
Well, if you think about the older
gritty,
Batman stuff,
the Batman. Yeah.
If don't think about Green Lantern.
I know, right?
That was my favorite superhero. And
Eliminate that from your memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for the new Batman. That's
And then you got the new
what's his name?
was it new Batman?
Robert Pattinson. Yeah.
You didn't know about this?
Batman.
Oh.
I was thinking Superman.
No. Yeah, there's a new Batman coming out.
Yeah,
Yep.
with
and
Robert.
they revealed can't remember who's acting, but someone's Joker. Damn it, I can't remember who it is, but yeah, the new Batman looks pretty awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Did you remember when there was that huge uproar about Robert Pattinson not wanting to work out?
No, I didn't hear about that. No.
Yeah, so there was a big thing. A lot of like fitness people got really mad because Robert Pattinson was like, I don't want to be all jacked for Batman. Like he's like, I don't think it's important. And so like he's like pretty skinny as Batman, and like people freaked out, and like the fitness people were like, oh my gosh. But I'm like, Batman. It doesn't matter how jacked Batman is. He's fighting superheroes. His suit is why he's able to do the things that he's able to, and obviously the training that he has, but it's not like because he has big muscles is how he's able to defeat superheroes.
Oh, okay.
It's because his suit and like all of the tech that he has in his brain is why he's able to do it. Yes, of course the muscles probably help, but it's not like, oh, if he wasn't jacked, he wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, Batman, if you go back to the comics, he's a master tactician, right?
And didn't they used to explain him as like the world's best detective as well?
Yes.
So it's like
absolutely.
His mind was a big part of it.
Oh, absolutely. But I would still argue that like his martial arts training, I mean, suppose like, you know, he has a solid background in martial arts training, and I see your point, but I cannot kind of understand why anyone who has undergone that much training, like physically,
gonna be jacked.
Yeah, you're not going to look entirely normal. You may not look Arnold Schwarzenegger big, but you're going to be somewhere in the middle.
I would argue that you wouldn't. Like it would be weird to be that big.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Because you're of course doing a ton of cardio movement, especially if you're doing like jujitsu stuff. Like you can't be super jacked and do that. Like it's helpful to not be as jacked.
Sure.
But it was a huge thing, and
I didn't hear about
people
that.
Seem to be over it now.
Of course he would say that. Like, yeah.
Of course, it's funny when you said that people were upset about Halo, and then you talk about Batman, and people are upset about Batman. It's almost like, oh, of course something cool is coming out, and that there's a whole group of people who are just upset about it.
Yeah.
Of course that happens,
dude. I think Henry Cavill though is like perfect Superman. Like
I know it's a bummer, like all the crazy stuff that's going on. Like it's a bummer that they can't just get a solid trilogy out there.
Yeah.
Like there's all this just always drama or always something or always a contract falls through or always like Batman with the Dark Knight solid trilogy. They were able to and then ever since then they've just had like struggles with superheroes.
But you have to keep in mind, it's because people realize this is big money. This is a big money business, right? Like dude, how many there were 22 Marvel movies, right? Before I think that's including both Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, right? People realize like there's a lot of money in this. You've got all these little kids who grew up watching this, right? Yeah. Now we're adults, right? Yeah. And we have the money to spend on this. So I get that. I can completely understand why people are fighting about little things.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about something, then we got off track. We were talking about the uncanny valley, but why were we talking about that? We were making a point, and then I derailed it. I think it's my fault.
It's all good.
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, well, one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about is with you, obviously, like we talked about this a little bit the first time, but I just think it would be a shame to not bring it up. Is the fact that you are obviously a doctor. You're a primary care doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like you work with a lot of people like one-on-one, and I know you do Steady MD too, right? So you like work online with people as well?
No, that's 100%. That's 100% what I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you do like online stuff. So like, I'm just kind of curious as to how many people have you seen that because this is something that I see a lot, is they don't make the connection between like health as in like not being off or being off of medication, and not seeing the connection of like physical health as far as like moving your body, eating correctly, and all that stuff. Like, do you see a big disconnect with people?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying. There's so many people who are like, oh, you know, they don't realize that there is a correlation between how they're feeling and the choices that they make. They just kind of feel like, you know, oh, or people who are like, oh, I'm getting old, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I ask them how old they are, and, you know, they tell me whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm however many years older than you, and I could easily do that, right? So I think you're completely right. People don't necessarily realize that between lifestyle, right? And a lifestyle, I'm going off the whim here, so I may miss something, but to me is stress, sleep, nutrition, exercise. That, you know, if you truly work on those fundamentally, and I think nutrition is one of the biggest ones, that you can minimize so many of your issues, right? Here's a big one that a lot of people feel: joint pain, right? So as I was telling you before we started the show, I know myself, right? And I'm addicted to sugar, right? So growing up, my dad wouldn't necessarily leave a whole bunch of high sugar stuff just around the house, and like donuts. I love donuts. I love pizza. My dad would make like donuts like a treat, like, oh, you know, if you're good or whatever, once every 2 weeks, right?
Which is pretty standard. I don't think that's anything over the top at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not over the top, but I wouldn't argue it's standard. Actually, it is in the current American.
It's actually less than standard.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
It's all like, dude,
it's every day now is a donut day.
Like, absolutely. People don't understand that. Oh, this is a treat now. They just want to, like, oh, every day I want to feel this good, right? Though what's crazy now as an adult is you can literally, as long as you're in tune with your body, you can actually feel a difference when you're eating. At least me, when I'm eating high processed food with high fructose corn syrup, specifically in my joints, I feel lethargy. Like, I literally feel fatigued. When I'm eating whole foods and keeping things very nutritious, all of a sudden I don't have joint pain. All of a sudden I don't have joint stiffness, right? Another big thing that affects, to be honest, a majority of men, and a majority of men aren't even aware of it, is low testosterone these days. You know, you have people in their 20s who will message me considering testosterone replacement therapy.
HRT.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, there are a number of things that you can do, and I recommend them. I have a number of recommendations that I have for my patients, and I'll actually trend my patients' testosterone over time. But there are a number of things that you can do to increase your testosterone naturally, right? Before you get on HRT and have, unfortunately, side effects, ancillary effects that, for example, with, hormone replacement therapy and testosterone replacement. So there are cells within your testicles called Sertoli cells that one of their jobs is make you testosterone, right? So you have to keep in mind the human body, like our bodies are incredible when it comes to hormone production. Essentially, our bodies will interpret any exogenous. But what I mean by that word exogenous is any external administration of a hormone will then subsequently decrease our body's endogenous natural production. So your Sertoli cells will literally call it a day and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
Once you start, administering testosterone, and your testicles as a man will literally shrink. And all of this physiologically makes sense. I'm just thinking here, I'm getting off the subject from what you asked about, but essentially, yes, I do. A lot of people don't realize that the choices that they make day to day are going to have a demonstrable effect on their health that, then, because of ignorance. And to be honest, ignorance on their part, maybe even ignorance on their doctor's part. I mean, how many doctors these days, you go to them and you tell them, hey, they got low testosterone, I want hormone replacement therapy. Then the doc will check their testosterone. And if they diagnose hypogonadism, then all of a sudden, they're okay. Hey, let's refer you to an endocrinologist. Let's put you on testosterone replacement. Like, to me, like, no, I tell my patients all the time, as human beings, we're not machines, right? We have biases, right? And I think all of us have biases, not just with medicine or whatnot, but with other people, for example, or with everything. Dude, here's a good example. I love dogs. I'm biased against Rottweilers. Mm-hmm. When I see a Rottweiler, am I going to walk up to it like I do with every other dog and try and pet it? No, because I have this internal bias. I don't know where it came from, this internal fear against them, even though a lot of times they're very good pets and good dogs, right? So anyway, I bring up that biases thing to say that my bias that I try to communicate with a lot of my patients, honestly, is that I'm biased against the use of medication as a first line. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of doctors will be like, oh, you have this problem, let's put you on this medicine, right? I don't like doing that. A patient of mine the other day messaged me because she had some acid reflux complaints. I messaged her a list of things that she should try to do before taking any medications to treat her acid reflux, right? So personally, just because of the side effect profile that I know a lot of medications have and that I've seen kind of over the course of med school and residency and practice, I've seen a lot of my patients suffer side effects. I try to do everything that I can to either keep you away from medicine, or if I can't to do that and you come to me and you're already on a medication. I was just able to peel blood pressure medicine off of a patient of mine 2 weeks ago after working with him for 6 months and having him lose like about 40 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. So what does that imply? Hypertension, high blood pressure has a correlation with your body weight, right? Yeah. So there are so many things that you can do from a lifestyle standpoint. Not everything, right? Let's say, I don't know. Let's say you have, multiple sclerosis, right? Or rheumatoid arthritis, right? There are certain disorders where medications are appropriate as a first line. However, I think that, like I said, all too often, too many doctors are very much of the mindset, oh, get you on meds, get you on meds, get you on meds. And I have a bias against them.
Yeah, I think like there's, when I think about this, I've had multiple interviews with people who have lost a lot of weight. And there was this one interview that I had that was like really cool. It was this guy that was diagnosed type 2 diabetic, and he was taking like a ton of insulin every day, and he lost like over 100 pounds. I think it was like close to 200, and then he no longer has type 2 diabetes. Awesome. Or I don't think you ever no longer have it, but he no longer has to take he no longer has to take any insulin. He's just and like that for me is like such a huge, it's crazy to me that there are so many, and again, like you said, it's not everything, and so I don't want people to think that I'm trying to say that, but like there are so many things, ailments that we might have that really can be mitigated with diet and exercise and just overall healthy lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I think that I have a bias towards it as well, because I know how I felt at only 20 years old, being almost 400 pounds. Yeah. And I know how I feel now. Yeah. And like, I know that huge change was because of diet and exercise and lifestyle changes. And so like, I think like for me, I'm the same way as to like, I don't think I would ever want to take a medication unless it was like last line of defense, not the first thing. And so it's just, I don't know, it's an interesting thing that I like to talk about, because I think so many people, especially at least in America, their first thought is, oh, this thing is going on with me, what medication should I take? Right. Instead of looking inward and being like, what can I do to help mitigate this problem? Yeah.
So we're all different, and I can tell you from experience with a lot of my patients, it's really unfortunate what I'm about to say, and I kind of alluded to this with what I told you yesterday about physical therapy, that I'm proud of you for doing that, right? A lot of people, John, don't want to put in the hard work.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it's kind of terrifying when you're talking to a patient who's like, no, doc, like, give me a pill. Are you kidding? Like, do you, then I almost want to like switch roles and kind of just do more educating as their doctor and tell them, hey, like here is the potential side effect profile. This is what you could potentially experience, right? Because I have a fundamental belief in humanity that we are all fundamentally logical, right? Even though I've been disappointed so many times on this.
Yeah, that's a very interesting belief to have.
Yeah, no.
When you look at a lot of people.
Oh, no, I agree.
It doesn't seem logical. That seems emotional.
I agree. I totally agree, right? But I think that because I'm biased to believe that people are fundamentally logical, I will always try and do a lot of convincing, right? Not even necessarily convince. Yeah, appeal to logic. I won't even necessarily try to convince. I'll just be like, here's the objective facts, truth of what you could experience if you choose this path. Okay, you're human, right? And you have autonomy. And given that you have autonomy as a human being, make your choice. And I trust that if somebody has the full spectrum of positives and negatives, especially the negatives, that they'll make the right decision. But oftentimes I'm disappointed for sure.
Mm-hmm. So this might be a sidestep to the conversation we're having right now, but what you're saying, obviously that is kind of the stance with CrossFit, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of like disease and chronic illness, stuff like that can be mitigated through health and fitness and wellness and all that. Does that like when I chose my doctor, I went and chose a DO, which is more of the lifestyle like remedies, right? Like I'm guessing what's the difference between MD and DO? Like
no, DOs are just as competent and capable as MDs.
Totally.
In fact, I would argue that DOs have the additional benefit of OMT. If I remember, I think that's osteopathic manipulation therapy. So they're much better with their hands. Mm-hmm. If I could go back and change things and not be an MD and be a DO, I probably would do that because they can do things with their hands that I can't.
Yeah, so I guess like that was the direction I was asking towards is like a DO is going to be more like my question is like, are they more looking at like your lifestyle and your habits and they go like, hey,
no,
they're not doing that?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't. No. I literally the OMT is the only distinction. You have to keep in mind that you can't necessarily. I see what you're trying to do, Jean. You're trying to slot us all. MDs are in this box. DOs are in this box.
No, I'm not trying to do that. I apologize.
Okay.
Don't you do that?
Yeah. I'm wondering. Everyone like there's huge variety, huge difference. Mm-hmm. I guess the question that I'm asking is just like, what is the main difference? And typically, will a DO have a more lifestyle approach versus a typical MD? I guess that's more of the question.
Now, I don't know everything, right? I didn't go to school to be a DO, so I may be missing things. But insofar as I know, the main difference is OMT. But other than that, they have the same fundamental training that we have, that MDs have. I think that though beyond that, you have very. Listen, let's put it this way, right? I have very stark belief differences than most MDs, right? Mm-hmm. I can tell you, I just freaking curse of my life, right? Whenever people see me who have never, I just had a lady the other day who stopped me, was like, "Oh, you look amazing." I was like, "Thank you." She was like, "Oh, are you a personal trainer or a coach?" I was like, "No, I'm a doctor," right? Mm-hmm. So
such a sick flex. I'm sorry, I know like, that's so sick.
No. So most doctors don't look like me, don't have my belief system, are very much, like I said, medicine first, right? And that's not a negative on the system. That's just the way, like, a lot of people like to act like doctors are all the same, but we're very much human, right? We have different subsets of beliefs, and my beliefs are kind of what we shared earlier. So some DOs are very much of my mindset. Other DOs are very much kind of medicine first and very kind of hands off even, right? Instead of being hands on. So it is what it is. We all have our variances as human beings.
I heard once that there's a Instagram or a Facebook community or something of like doctors who all deadlift over 500 pounds or something like that. Doctors who deadlift or whatever. You ever heard of that?
Are you serious?
Yeah. It's like a community of people like you. If you're a medical doctor and you can hit these specific like weightlifting benchmarks or whatever. Like it's like this elite community where they all talk. And
please find me that.
I know,
I'd love to join.
Like I think I was listening to the Brute Strength podcast a couple years ago or something.
Yeah.
And he was talking about it's like this tight knit group of doctors. And I think it's a Facebook community, and they all like they have to deadlift 500 pounds. Like there's a couple like benchmarks they have to hit, and then they're like welcomed into this community, which is kind of interesting. It's like
no, and I think that something like that is actually a positive thing, right? First of all, I'd love to join. Second of all, because you have to keep in mind how many like I was just talking to someone the other day who had some nagging injury, and their doctor told them they came to me because their past doctor told them, oh, you need to stop squatting. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're 40 something now. What are you doing squatting that much weight? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, are you like, that's what you say to a patient? Mm-hmm. So God forbid somebody's more functional than most 40 something year olds or most 50 something year olds or most 60 year olds. And you want to make them less functional. Mm-hmm. Oh, why are you squatting? I would ask that doctor, what do you do when you're sitting on a toilet?
Right.
Like what you're basically trying to strip away a fundamental movement pattern, right? Because you could argue, oh, what are you doing squatting that much weight? But you guys know as well as I do, if you're moving correctly, it doesn't matter how much weight is on your back, or your fundamental movement pattern is going to be the same.
Yeah.
I should look the same. So my deadlift max is 530. Theoretically, if I was truly competent in terms of my entire, all my musculature, my 530 pound deadlift should look like my 100 pound deadlift. They should look the same. So with that said, I think that's awesome that you now have a group of doctors who presumably, obviously I don't know them, but presumably would not tell their patients, don't deadlift. Oh, you have a little bit of an injury, don't deadlift, don't squat. Like, come on. So
it's I like when I go to the bathroom, I like to make sure I maintain power position and never break parallel. It's more just like
you don't use a squat potty.
Yeah, no. Just a flex. Like I can do this in a power squat.
Yeah,
right.
I don't squat. I just stand above. And
just stand over and pray.
Yeah, I'm like, well, we'll see what happens this time.
I hope I don't miss.
Yeah.
At my level one, one of the coaches, he was talking about how you with mechanics, like you will be able to safely do above your max, like through proper mechanics. Like he was talking about, like, how do you what's your deadlift? For example, 405. Like, how do you know that you did how do you know that's your max?
Sure.
Well, I worked up to it. Did you go to 405 and stop? How do you know that's your max? Well, no, I tried 410 and I couldn't get it.
Sure.
He's like, so you were able to safely attempt above your 1 rep max.
Sure.
And that's how you know what your 1 rep max is. So like having good mechanics is being able to do 105% or whatever.
Yeah.
Knowing that you didn't injure yourself attempting it, you tried to lift it up, it didn't move, and you let go. Okay, now you know what your 1 rep max is because you attempted above it. I thought that was like a super interesting way to look at it, is like being able to safely move a percentage above your 1 rep max, even if you don't complete the rep, but you can safely attempt it. Or you go down in a squat and you're like pinned there, and you go, oh, this isn't moving, and you step out. Like the idea of being able to safely do 100% above what your 100% is.
No, I completely agree. And like, even if you think about just CrossFit and movement efficiency and whatnot, you need, so for example, a 185 pound snatch, I could catch that. A 185 pound squat snatch, I could catch that with horrible form, right? And have my left heel lift up and be on my toes and still stand it up, right?
Yeah.
Because that is a small enough percentage of my max. But as you get higher and higher, and I think this is with most movements, right? As you get higher and higher, essentially, if you think about it, there's less room for error.
Yeah.
There's less margin. Everything needs to be perfect. When I'm snatching 280, if I don't have everything perfect, I mean, that margin of error is so small that if I don't have everything perfect, I'm going to miss that lift, right? So yeah, I completely agree with that. You need to be able to move well. That, to be honest, I've met some people in my 10 years of CrossFit who are all like, screw technique, man. Just get under there and just move the weight. And I'm like, I just look at them. I'm like, no, like you will never be able to truly move your max if you do not care about technique. Because let's have a nerdy moment here. What is the gym? The gym is literally a lab. That is literally a physics lab. Like you think you're going to go in there and just, just egotistically lift a certain amount of, like, that weight in the gym obeys the laws of physics.
Yeah.
If you are not moving with 100% respect to physics, you're going to miss the lift, right? So, like, dude, I am like, all the engineering stuff comes back when I'm lifting, and I'm thinking about just nerdy engineering mechanics when I want to hit a max lift, right? Like I said, when I'm hitting lower percentages, I don't care, because I'm like, whatever, I land on my toes, whatever, my body can figure it out, right? But as I get heavier and heavier, I start to think about so many different cues and force vectors and moment arms and just different things,
Yeah, I'm 100% more jealous of people that move well than people that can lift more than me.
Facts.
Because like I have not the best form, and people are like, "Oh, you're so strong, it's so cool." I'm like, "Yeah, but dude, I don't move that well."
Yeah.
And then I'll see someone that might only be able to snatch, like, their max is 165, but it looks super pretty. I'm like, I'd rather have that, because then you can like build it up eventually. You know, for me, I feel like I have to, and that's what I'm doing right now with the back injury, and I have to strip everything back down to the start and build from there. And it's like, how you move is so much more important than how much weight you move.
Like Maddie Rogers. I can just watch her video, like on Instagram, can just watch her videos over and over. There's sometimes I'm, scrolling through my Explore feed on Instagram, and I see somebody like who I've never seen in my life do a snatch. And like I will legit watch a video 10 times and think to myself, like, what can I steal from her? Right.
Yeah.
I saw this girl the other day who did a snatch, and she like hyperextended her neck. She was almost staring at the ceiling from her first pull to her second pull, and like I saw that, I was like, I'm stealing that, just because I feel like that puts your thoracic spine in a very good position with both cleans and snatches. So no, I totally agree. Dude, somebody who moves well, I can just watch them over and over.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah.
And that's the thing, is like with a barbell, you can throw 400 pounds on a barbell and squat it. With good technique and do it well, like it'll feel good. You're like, wow, that's awesome. You put a 400-pound sandbag on your back, because you haven't practiced that same technique and efficiency. You'll just crumple under it, and it's like so interesting. Like even with like a barbell, like people and Maddie, speaking of her, like she always says, she's like, I'm not the strongest athlete out there.
Who says this?
Maddie Rogers.
Really? She says that?
Yeah, she'll say, like, I'm not the strongest athlete in my weight class, in my weight division, but I move better than all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of like the idea of, like, with a barbell specifically, like, you can have someone of equal strength, two people, one who moves it well, one who moves it terribly, and the person who moves it well, even though they're equally strong, will finish the workout quicker.
Absolutely.
And they'll feel better after the workout.
Absolutely.
They'll recover better, like, because they're not like they've got all three spots on their foot planted on the ground safely. They're in a nice squat position. Their elbows are, like, if they're front squatting, for example, elbows are up and they're going. You have someone else who they keep on going on their tippy toes, their elbows are down, their back is rounded. Like, they'll both do 10 at the same weight, and one of them will feel less exerted, less tired, recover better, just because of efficiency.
Yeah.
Which is,
I remember my old gym in Ohio, there was this older lady. She must have been in her early 60s, who had the most beautiful squat, like ass to grass, knees over toes, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I just love seeing. I love seeing the geriatric population, older adults who can move very well and kind of have maintained functionality. Yeah. Because that's unfortunately a reality of getting old, is they lose most of the time what we in healthcare call their ADLs, their activities of daily living, their ability to complete activities of daily living. So are you kidding me? When I see someone who's older who can deadlift, and I'm not talking about deadlift to heavy, but I don't know, they drop a pencil, right? And they bend over well to pick it up. And I'm like, Nice.
Yeah, they're looking better than I am.
Right.
Well, it makes me think of there's this couple here, Dave and Alice, and they're both in their 70s, and Dave will just do pull-ups with me, strict pull-ups, just like crush them out.
I saw this guy on your Instagram.
Yeah, that's Dave.
Guy?
He was here right before he left, and I was like, oh man, I hope he's still here, but he had already left.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that is like that's what it's all about. Like that's what's the most important thing is like being able to do that stuff. Like that's my goal is to be able to do that stuff when I'm Dave's age.
Dude, me too.
You know,
absolutely.
like period.
Absolutely.
Like I'll never be the strongest person in the gym, and like for me, it's I honestly don't care
That's
that
not
much.
your goal,
like I want to be functional. I want to be able to move well, and I want to be happy about doing those things, and for a long period of time, obviously.
Yeah, because that transfers to other things in life, you know? Everything that we do in here, you know, sure, you could be a not regionals doesn't exist anymore, but you could be a games athlete or
it's easier for me to be a regionals athlete now. Like, I'm not competing against anyone.
Yeah, you just make it up yourself.
Count it. But you know, having that as a goal for life is definitely the way to go, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is why I've heard some people argue that CrossFit competitively is not sustainable. Right. And I don't know. Froning seems to be doing a good job of it. Right. So I don't know. I don't know if you could maintain.
I feel like anything at the very top.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that's like you sacrifice to be at the top.
Sure.
Like in every aspect of life, right? Like in order to be the best, you have to sacrifice. And so there is an element of that. Like they're sacrificing more. Whereas like Froning, like he went to team and it's not to discount it because he's still done it incredibly, but like team is easier. Like there's like I heard Dave Castro just recently say in an interview. He's
watched that yesterday.
Like teams are easier. That's why these athletes go to team because it's an off year. They just get to focus on mechanics or recovery or whatever.
Dude, in that interview, are you talking about the one with
Seven?
Savon?
Yeah.
Dude, he was vying hard for Froning to come back.
He's disappointed in him that he hasn't.
I mean, but I get things from Froney's sample. Are you kidding me? Like the man
like
has
the
a
life
family
Froning
now.
has now.
He's a freaking multimillionaire.
He's been able to, because he is not trying to become the fittest man on earth.
Sure.
He has been able to raise a farm. He's raising a family. He's got his gym's going well. The barn's going well. His
other
YouTube
objectives.
channel. Because he is not trying to be the fittest man.
Yeah.
Whereas that's something Frazier can't do right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like anything, right? Like being a professional football player isn't sustainable over a long period of time either.
Exactly.
Like, and we accept that and we understand that.
Right.
But like anything, right? Anything at the highest level is like, it's not sustainable. That's not a surprise, you know. But I do think that CrossFit or just functional fitness in general is sustainable.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. In the non-competitive sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Agree.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, that was a great conversation.
Yeah. How long were we talking for?
About an hour 20.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for driving all the way out here.
Oh yeah. We're gonna, dude. I want to get some workouts in at this gym. You know, I have some other gyms that I want to drop into. Some other people that want to hang out. So yeah, you know, I just want to explore San Diego. So I'm excited.
It is the best city on the planet. I might be a little bit biased, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
So where can people find you online if they wanna hit you up?
So a couple things. So Instagram, the Fittest Doc. YouTube, the Fittest Doc. I'm actually going to revive. I was putting out videos a year ago. I'm gonna revive that just because you know, people are asking for some subject matter that I think would be better on YouTube, video format, and I'm actually already starting to put them out on my Instagram. So you can have me as your doctor on steadymd.com. So if you go there and you can sign up, and you should be able to find me. I'm on their mission and teams page. So you can find me as a available doctor there and have me as your doctor. And I'm also doing so, you know, I've had the pleasure of having a number of people reach out to me on my Instagram with seeking advice and tips, right? These are people who won't necessarily be my patient, but they want information. So I actually paired up with a number of people at my gym. Kelly Stone, who is a CrossFit Games athlete, Taylor Sleaford, who programs for us at our gym. He's a super competent programmer, and he is very in tune and very good at mindset, anything mindset. And then John, who owns CrossFit Omnia, and he also is very good with fitness stuff. So basically, I've paired up with these three, and we made a program called the Healthy Life Blueprints that is specifically attuned for beginners. You know, you have so many people who may not CrossFit, but are very, very interested in changing their lives for the better from a nutrition standpoint, from a sleep standpoint, from a mindset standpoint, and from a fitness standpoint. All the kind of pillars that we talked about earlier. So
That's cool.
Yeah. So we developed a program called the Healthy Life Blueprint. So yeah, you should be able to find that if you're interested in doing that. It's an 8-week program where we essentially hold your hand and show you how to improve many different things. And it's funny because on my drive here yesterday, somebody messaged me on Instagram thanking me for the program that he's doing one of these body composition things, and he's saying that he has been checking and he's already losing fat. And sure, that's one of the benefits, but there's so many other benefits. I mean, come on, when you get your mindset, when you get your sleep, when you get your nutrition, when you get your fitness down, there's so many benefits outside of fat loss. So yeah, that was pretty cool to get that message from him. So if you're interested in that, just Google the Healthy Life Blueprint. If you can't find it that way, find me on Instagram, the Fittest Doc, and I have a link in my bio to the Healthy Life Blueprint. And yeah, I think for now, I think that's pretty much all the different ways you can get in contact with me.
Sweet dude. Yeah. Thanks so much, bro.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys.